what's up? I am Shelby, and in this video I want to walk you through how I plan and organize my week so that I am a more productive human being. I've actually had a lot of trouble finding a weekly planning routine that works for my mind. I've tried using Pinterest templates, I've tried getting physical planners, I tried blocking out all of the time in my calendar. I feel like I've tried all the different methods and they haven't really worked for me. The only thing that has worked for me is what I'm going to show you in this video. And it's something that I actually look forward to doing every single week. Like, I get really excited to do it as opposed to before when I would kind of like dread it. I'd be like, oh, I have to do my weekly planning. This is kind of like a plan my week with me as well as a how I plan my week. My weekly planning routine is very much still a work in progress, and I think it'll always be a work in progress. I tweak it from time to time and make changes. Before you get started, I would highly recommend that you go through my weekly reset video, because that's something that I like to do before I do any weekly planning. The weekly reset is all about like getting clear and creating space, and then your weekly planning routine is about creating a pathway forward. At the very least, you want to make sure that in your calendar you have scheduled all of your appointments and you've got all of your dates with friends in your calendar so that you know how much time you actually have to work with. So when I get started, I'm usually flicking to a new page in my 12-week goals book. I usually do this process with my sister, so we have a weekly sort of accountability session, and weekly planning is what we usually do at the end of that masterminding session so that we can sort of plan out the horizon ahead after talking about what worked, what didn't work, and what we want to do differently in this week. So the very first thing that I write on my page is I rewrite out all of my goals. If you keep up with all of my videos, you'll know that I am doing 12-week goals, and I find that 12-week goals are so much more beneficial for me personally. Knowing that deadline is actually close, it'll get you far more motivated to work on your goals every single week. And also, I get really excited about planning my next 3 months goals because I really like setting sights for myself and planning things. Writing down your goals is literally just a way to remind yourself of what your goals are, and also just refocus your brain on what is important, because often when you get caught up in the daily grind, you kind of forget what actually matters and what you're focusing on. For my goals, I am currently testing out something fun, which is building one new habit, having one project, and living by one book, or kind of multiple books in this case. So my habit at the moment is exercise. So exercise is something that I've always had this weird on-off relationship with, and obviously it's incredibly important for my body and for my mind. I have a physio and training boyfriend who reminds me of that every single day. For me, I see exercise as more of a happiness habit as opposed to a fitness habit. It definitely does both, but my why is more about my mental health rather than like getting a Tammy Hembrow booty. Not that that's not a great goal, and one that I do want to try at one point in my life. For my project, I have my channel notes course. My channel notes course has actually been carried over from my last 12-week goals, and I feel like it is something that's been going on for quite a while. It's just that end run when you get to the very end of goal and everything takes far longer than usual. And for my book that I want to live by, I actually have various books on sleep. I've been dangling this for so long, but there may be some videos involved. So after I have refocused myself on my goals for the week, that is when I write out all of the little baby steps that I need to take to make some progress on those goals. I find it really important to break my goals down into those tiny little baby steps. When it comes to breaking your goals down into baby steps, my recommendation is to getting it down to the point where your brain no longer feels fuzzy about the to-do that you've written on the page. So my next section is YouTube. So I'll write out all of the to-dos that I need to do to keep my YouTube going for the next week. So the next section that I create is my life admin sections. This has the same kind of stuff every week, which is my weekly reset, which I made a video about, linked here, down here, cleaning and prepping my dinner. So those are things that I do that really keep my life going smoothly. After that, I create an other section. Other is still kind of life admin. A lot of these things come from Things 3, which is the app that I use that I populate in my weekly reset. So I look at anything that's upcoming, so anything that's time sensitive, and I'll write that on my list, and then I'll just think of anything that's really been gnawing at my mind, and I'll take that and I'll chuck that on my other list as well. So that is the first part of how I organize and plan my week. The next thing that I dive into is actually scheduling in my times to work out. I know this is specifically relevant to me, but it might be something that you guys find helpful too. If you watch my video on how to live a more interesting life, I talked about the concept of planning it in and doing it anyways, and I talked about that in relation to planning little adventures in your life and then doing them anyways no matter how you felt on the day. I take a very similar approach when I'm planning my workout routines. So every week, me and my sister will sit down and be like, okay, what time time do you have to work out, because we work out together, and we go through and we schedule those times in our calendar, even though every single week it's pretty much the same days. But by sitting there and actually planning it out and planning it into my calendar every single week, it makes it much more likely that I'm actually going to follow through and do it. So when I have a less busy week, just having that one-page plan is really helpful, and I don't really find that I need to do anything more. However, if I have a really busy week where in my mind I'm like, oh, how am I actually going to get all of this done? I do like to do a little bit of a Monday to Friday plan. I think what I'm actually doing is a really dodgy, really not aesthetically pleasing version of bullet journaling, which is kind of funny because if you've been on my channel for a little while, you'll know how I've felt about bullet journaling in the past. When I'm writing out this plan, I'm obviously looking back to my calendar and seeing what I have on for the week, because if I have a really busy Saturday, I'm not actually going to be able to get all those things that I want to do on Saturday done. So my weekly plan is absolutely not a contract. I see it as a very flexible, rough plan that gives me a really good vision of how I need my week to flow to make things work. And to accompany my weekly plan and make sure that things actually get done, I do a little daily plan in addition. A plan like this is pretty useless if you're not revisiting it, because obviously things are going to come up in your week. Obviously things are going to change. It's not going to stick exactly to schedule no matter how much you want it to. So you need to be constantly revisiting it and being like, okay, I didn't get that done there. How am I gonna slot it in here? And I do that through a daily review. You guys know that I like to write out my wins, my things that I'm grateful for, and my to-dos for the next day. So I do that on a daily basis, which helps me to stick to my weekly routine. Even if I am literally just copying out the to-dos that I've already written for that day in my weekly plan, I find daily planning really freaking essential to actually get things done, because for me, for my mind, I am far more likely to listen to me last night rather than listening to me 4 days ago when I wrote out that weekly plan, even if I've given myself the exact same instructions. If you enjoyed this video and you were at a point in your life where you just want to get your life together and organize the hell out of your life, you might enjoy my video on 6 lists to write to organize your life. I'll have it linked on the screen and down below. I appreciate you guys so very much, and I will see you soon.